Hello and welcome back. Code with SCM here. Welcome to another video series where we'll be discussing about the Livewire version 4. And if you have been waiting for our Livewire version 4 release, so it was released just 3 days ago, and today I'm starting a complete series on Livewire, and we are going to discuss everything that Livewire 4 has to offer. By the end of this first video, we are going to discuss, and you are going to have the Livewire 4 component up and running, and trust me, you're going to love it. So let's jump in. If you are new to the channel, consider to subscribe, like the video, share with your friends, and that's a way that you're supporting the channel. So as I've mentioned before, so the Livewire 4 was released just a couple of days ago, and you can see here this was the release email that I received from Caleb. This was the release, and here there is a video on how you can see that he was demoing a Livewire 4 application. So you can see the announcement post, Laracast series if you like the Laracast one. So that's a way that you are going to use it. Okay, so after that, let me do the quick highlight on what is even the Livewire. So if you are new to Livewire, this is the most important part, because you're going to understand what we are trying to discuss here. All right, so let's start with what is actually Livewire and what it does in the Laravel community. Okay, so basically Livewire is a full stack framework for Laravel that makes building dynamic interfaces simple. Instead of writing JavaScript, Vue, or React for your frontend, you just write the PHP classes, the blade templates, and that's it. The Livewire handles all the JavaScript magic behind the scenes. So the version 4 has come and changed everything, as the creator himself took almost 10 months of rebuilding and restructuring Livewire. So from version 3 to version 4, there is a big gap, and there is a lot of amazing features that have been released. So we are going to discuss all of those features one by one here on this video, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy and learn something new from the channel. Alright, so this is the Livewire documentation website. So this is the official website of Livewire, and if you want to discuss more about Livewire or to understand it, just go to the documentation. But here is the simple demo of Livewire if you want to understand a simple terms, because you can see this is just a search list, so you can be able to search this list by using this way. So it's that simple on how you can just build the interactive application or interactive UI like this one, but just with PHP code without writing even a single line of JavaScript. And Livewire will handle all of the background things. For example, here if you want, let's say, to search for Jen, so you can see it is happening in live when you are searching, and it is updating automatically, and that's because of this live here. So it's just that simple. So we're going to discuss everything in between so that you can be able to understand what is Livewire actually. Okay, so even you can see for Taylor Otwell, the creator of Laravel, his comment was this one, his idea about the Livewire. So this is how I said. So in Livewire we have everything that you need. For example, we have the forms, tables, charts, image upload, there's loading, and much more that we are going to discuss in this particular video. So if you are new to the Livewire community, so welcome, and let's dive in this. Okay, so let's click here, start here, or you can just click on documentation and it will direct you to the same page. So let me click it, start here. Right, so here we are going to discuss the first headline features that we have on version 4 before we started to actually build something from Livewire version 4. So I'm going to discuss each of the features step by step and one by one. So let's start with the first feature, which is single file component. So single file component, this is your another great feature that has been released by Livewire. So now it means you can be able to write your component class, your Blade template, your CSS, and your JavaScript all in one file. And this is just in PHP, and it is now a default way that you should be able to create the component. But here is what I love. You can still use the multi-file format if you like, because Livewire doesn't force you to just use the new format of creating the single file component. So that was the first feature. So the second feature, it is the islands. So the islands, this one is actually game changing, because in the performance way, island let you to segment the expensive part of your page, so the slow sections don't block the rest of the page from rendering. So imagine on a dashboard with a slow database query for analytics. In Livewire 3, that would block your entire page. So in Livewire 4, that was the fix that was done, because the section loads independently while the rest of your page is intense or instantly interactive. So that is what we are going to discuss here about the islands. Okay, so the feature number 3 is the Blaze compiler. So Livewire version 4 comes with a new compiler called the Blaze, and that what it does, it just pre-renders static parts of your Blade component at a compile time. So the result of this is to increase the fastness in the compiling of your component, because it will just render 20 times faster than in Livewire 3. Alright, so it increases the performance of your application. So I'll show you exactly how this works in a dedicated video, but just now know that your apps are about to get away faster automatically because of that Blaze compiler. So the feature number 4 that we're going to see today, it is a slot support. In Livewire version 4, now we have slot support, and this was the most requested feature in Livewire 3. So your component now can accept slots just like regular Blade components. So this makes creating the usable UI component so much cleaner. Okay, and there is more in this video, and there is more better than the JavaScript integration. So we have JavaScript integration thing, like we have added some of the attribute like URF, scoped CSS, which are done inside a single file, improved the AlpineJS support, named the islands, new wire directives that we are going to look today, and we are going to cover all of this in this series. So we have a lot to do in this video, so enough of talking, let's build something. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is just to prepare and to know what we need to have in order for you to be able to follow along with this video. So for you to be able to follow along with this video, here we have the prerequisites that you need to have. So the first one, you need to have the Laravel version 10 or later, means or greater than that. So to 11, 12, and something like that. But also you need to have the PHP version 8.1 or later in order for you to be able to use the version 4 of Livewire. But for environment setup in your system, so you can have like this environment, so that you can be able to start off with PHP, because if you want to get the PHP and also the database side, you can just use the dump, which gives you the availability of MariaDB, PHP, Perl, and just other Apache server that will help you to compile your PHP applications. But also you may need to install Node.js, so just go to the download here and just download the binary file that works for you if you're using Windows. But if you're using Mac or Linux, so you can just shift here and you can be able to download the Node.js, and that will help us to compile the front-end asset like JavaScript and CSS. But if you want a dedicated Laravel development environment, so I'd like to recommend you to install Laravel Hard, which you can be able to download it for Windows and also for macOS here. And this will help you to have a one-click PHP development environment. So 0 dependencies and 0 headaches. So also you need to have a little of basics of Laravel if you are new to Livewire completely. So you need to have the understanding of Laravel. So this is the official documentation of Laravel. So Laravel basically is a PHP framework. So if you are new to it, so I recommend you to go first and look for it and try to understand what it does, what it offers. And if you have the familiarity with the Laravel, so let's jump into Livewire. So I assume already you have installed the XAMPP or you have installed the Laravel HUD so that you can be able to build the Laravel application from scratch. So what I'm going to do now is just to install or to create first the Laravel application, because that is the first prerequisite, and then the second will be to install Livewire on it. So to create a Laravel application, I'm going to use the Laravel HUD because this is the simplest way that you can start off. So if you are new and you don't know how to configure the XAMPP, Node.js and the other things, so it's just an easier way to just install Laravel HUD and then quick start with Livewire development. So let's go to the Laravel HUD. So here is my Laravel HUD application. Now let me go here on the sites. So you have the dashboard where you can configure the services. You can stop them and start them from here. You can configure the global PHP version here, and also you can have the general settings that you can change. So here on the HUD path where the applications will be created, the startup settings that you can be able to build. Here there is the starter spots and the other things, and let's go directly to the sites. And here on the sites, I'm going just to create a new site, and after that I'm going to create a new Laravel project, and from here I'm going to create just a no starter kit application because I don't want to install any of these starter kit at the moment. So now let me click next, and here I'm going to call it Livewire for course, and then next. So this will start to create our project, and when this will be done, then we can start to build the application using Livewire. Alright, so here you can see our application was created successful. So means now we have the Laravel 12 application up and running. So now it's just a matter of opening it in the browser, but let me close it first. So this is our application, and this is the preview of our application. So here we have a couple of options that we can have. We can open our application on VS Code, and you can change this setting here on the general settings. Here you can change. So if you want to use another application or the IDE for opening the application, so you can just change it from here. So I just leave it to the VS Code, and let me go back here. So our application is this one, and we can be able to open it in VS Code like this way. So if I click it, you see it is opening the VS Code with my application like this way. Okay, let me zoom so that you can see. Okay, and then the next step that you can do too is just to open this application. So when you click on this URL, so it will open the application. You can just copy the URL and then go to your browser, and then you can just open it like this way. Okay, so this is the application. Let me zoom it a little. Yeah, I guess this is fine. Okay, so now let's go back here. So as I've mentioned before already, we have met the first requirement and the second one, because already we have the Laravel application which is up and running like this one. So this is the Laravel 12 application. Okay, so the next step will be to create or to install the Livewire version 4. So installing the Livewire version 4 is literally one composer command, which is just simple. So we can just copy this command, which is composer require livewire /livewire. So let's just copy it. Let's go to the terminal of our application. So let me just close these notifications. And now on my application, I'm just going to open the terminal. I'll just collapse this sidebar. Alright, so here on the terminal, I'm going to paste the command, which is composer require livewire /livewire. Then I'm going to say enter, and then when I click enter, now it will start to copy all the files needed for Livewire to operate on our application. So you can see it is installing Livewire version 4.01. And that's it. Now we have Livewire version 4 installed. No npm packages, no build steps, no webpack configuration, just one command, and you have the Livewire version 4 in your application. So now the next step will be to create our first component. So to create the first component, if you go back to the documentation here, you can see. So this is the simplest way you can create the component, but before you create the component, it is advisable to create the layout, because this layout will be the one that all the components will fall inside it. Because on this component we have this slot, and on this slot is where all your components are being rendered. So let's just run this command first to create the component that we want, and on this component is where all your details like JavaScript and the styles of Livewire will run through. If you can see here, we have the Livewire styles, and also we have the Livewire scripts. So let's just run that command here. So to clear my terminal, paste the command. So php @livewire layout, and this is creating a layout file inside the views layouts app.blade.php. So now if you go back here and search for app.blade.php, you should be able to see that file here, which is this one. Okay, you can see it has the Livewire here, styles, and Livewire script. Also we have this slot where all the components will be running through. But here we have byte, which is used for compiling these CSS and JavaScript assets, which is already we have that installed with the Laravel. So here we have the byte configuration. So this will help us to compile the assets. Okay, so now since we have the layout ready in our application, now we can be able to create a new component file. So these are the simple explanations about the layout, so you can just go through it. So now let's create our first component. But creating the first component, because we are going to create a full page component. So in Livewire version 4 right now, when you are creating a page component, which will be a full page component, you need to use this way, okay, in order for you to organize the files in a good way. So to prefix it here with pages, it kept organized in a page directory. So which is actually a good thing about the Livewire version 4. So let's just do the same. So let me copy it from here. So I guess now you can be able to see it clearly from here. Okay, so I've just copied this command up to here. Then let's go to the application. Let me close this one, and then open terminal again, paste the command, then in the name of the component, as we are going to create the first application, which will be the counter. So let me create it. Okay, we've run this command, and this was the file that was created. And did you notice this something cool? So this has the component that we've created as the lightning bolt emoji in the name, and this makes Livewire components instantly recognizable in your editor. So it is optional. You can be able to disable it if you don't like to see this emoji, and I'll show you how to do that on the next videos, right? So now let's take a look on what we have inside this component that has been created. So let's search for counter. So this is a new Livewire 4 component that we've created. So let's take a look at what was generated in this file that we see. So this is called a single file component, everything in one file. So you can just be able to see that at the top we have the PHP class, at the bottom blade template, which is very super clean. Okay, so now let's build the counter application. First, we need to have the property that will help us to track the county of our application. So what we are going to do is just to declare a public property, which we are going to call it count. So it will be starting from 0. So means we are going to initialize it with 0. Okay, so let's just create that quickly. So public, we can just type hint it like to be int, and then call it count. Then we can initialize it with 0. So this should be a PHP variable. So it should start with the $sign here. Okay, then it terminate. So this is our public key property that we've created, and that's it. So Livewire will automatically make this property available in the blade template. So now we need a method to increment count. So what we're going to do is just to create a new function here, which we're going to call it public function increment, and this function, inside it we're going to say this, then count, just increment it like this way, and then terminate. So what we did here is just a simple method that we create the count and increment it by 1. So it just increase it by 1. So notice just we are just writing the normal PHP code, and no magic or no weird syntax or no JavaScript code at all. So now let's build the template. So since we have the function here, so let's build it here on the template. So no need to shift the files or anything else. So just this one file that we've created, and everything we do it here, right? So that's the cool thing about Livewire version 4. So now on the blade file here, let's have the heading 1, which will help us to show the counter. So we're just going to say counter, then inside this curly braces, so we're going to show the public property that we have created, which is count. Okay, so it should be passed here, and then down here we need to have the button, which will help us to show or to help the user to increment the value. So when they will click on this button, it will call this method, and this method will just increment the count, and then this one will be updated. When it will be updated, it will come and update this value automatically, and no page refreshes or no anything fancy or writing any JavaScript code at all. So let's just do that. So here on the button, let's add the attribute, which is called the wire click, which will help us to hook on the click event of button, and then from it we're going to call the name of the method, which is increment, which is this one. Okay, so make sure that you copy the name and paste it here. All right, so now we display the count using the normal blade syntax, so the double curly braces, and also we have a button which is going to tell Livewire to call the increment method. Okay, so that's the entire component, and let me show you the final code that we have. So it's just this one, and if you see from here, we don't have the Livewire component from here. Okay, So now we have the beautiful component. So now in order for us to be able to see this component in our browser, so we need to have a route or the path that is going to be able to show it on the browser. So let's open the web.php, and from here let's create a new route. So on Livewire version 4 we have a new way to create the routes, so you can be able to see it from here. So if you scroll down a little bit, so this is the way of registering a route. Okay, so you just need to open the web.php and then you create the route, then you call the method known as Livewire, and then you give the name of the application, then you prefix it with the pages, then the name of the component. So let's just do that. So route, then call the Livewire method. Okay, then from it we need to put the name of the link, which will be basically the /counter. So we can just say /counter. Okay, and then after that here we need to say comma, then as what we've seen here you need to prefix it with pages. So because our component was page, so let's just say pages, and then full colon, and then the name of the component, which is counter. Okay, all right, so here you need to put this one in quotes so that it can be a string, because that's what is expected here. So now let's go to the view and then let's see it in action. So let's just visit the counter page, and now you can be able to see that we have the counter here. So let me zoom it a little bit so that you can see. So we have the counter, and here we have the button, but this is a little bit styled, so that's why you don't see this looks like a button, because it has the Livewire styles here on the blade file, which is our layout here. All right, so what we are going to do is just to style it ourselves. So I'm just going to show you how to style it very quickly. So for now, let me just show you how it works, because now if you click it, you can be able to see that this is increasing our counter. And what it is happening in behind the scene, so if you go here on the network tab, okay, and then if I click again on this increment, you see, so there is a new request that is sent to the backend, and this is handled by the Livewire itself. So you just don't need to refresh this page at all, because if you keep an eye here, you don't see that this page is refreshing, but the value is incrementing, and that's what we want. So now let me just add the decrement function so that we can be able to see how it works. So let me close this one. Let's go back here, and as what we did for the increment, you just need to say public function decrement, and then say this counter, then we're going to decrement it like this way, and then after that let's add here a button. So this button should call now the decrement function, and this should be decrement. Right, so now let's go back to the page, refresh. Okay, now you see we have two buttons here. So we have the increment and the decrement, and you can see since I've refreshed the page, so this has returned back to 0. So now let's try to increment. So you can see it is 1, and there is a network request. So if I decrement, you see it becomes 0, and there is a network request here. So you can just increment these values, okay, and then you can be able to decrement it. So you can increment, and no fancy JavaScript, no anything that we've built that is headache on ourselves. So just Livewire itself, it handles all of the things behind the scene. So we have the counter at 0 and a button that has the increment and decrement. So boom, it updates instantly and no page refresh, no JavaScript written by us. Look at the network tab and you are going to see all the requests that are sent to the backend. Okay, and it's fast. This is the magic of Livewire that we wrote, pure PHP and Blade, and we got a modern reactive interface. So now imagine building a complex forms, real-time search, file upload, drag and drop, all with this just the same simple syntaxes. So that's what we are going to build in this series. So let's recap on what we have on our previous video. So we have the Livewire 4, which was just released with those improvements that we have seen. We have seen on how you can be able to use the single file component for the better developer experience. Also, I've talked about the island for massive performance gain. Also, we have seen on how we can use the Blaze compiler. We have discussed on how we can be able to install Livewire and build our first component, which is our single file component. So in the next video, we are going to go deeper into single file component, when to use them, how to convert them between the formats, because sometimes you can be able to convert the single file component into multi-file component, and the vice versa about that, and all the best practices that we are going to look for. After that, we are going to start to build a real project, which will be a task management application that will build and will expand throughout this entire series. Okay, so if you want to follow along with this series, I've created a GitHub repository of this project that we are going to use. So I'm going to share the link on the video description. So make sure that you follow that link so that you can be able to see each video with its branch. So I'll just do that. So I'll create a branch for each video series so that you can be able to follow along on what I was doing. So make sure you are subscribed and hit the notification bell when you are releasing the new videos, so that you can be able to don't miss any of that video. So drop a comment below and let me know, are you excited about Livewire version 4, or have you tried it yet or not, and what do you want to see me building with this Livewire 4. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Ciao.